Welcome, my darling pretties, to our Beyond the Dawn of Business podcast for pretty empowered female entrepreneurs. It's time to step into your power, pretties. Lift each other, support the squad, and choose a life filled with the autonomy and freedom to live your dreams. I'm your host, Dawn Beth, owner and founder of Beyond the Dawn digital business brand and agency. My coffee is hot and my eyelashes are on, so we are ready to go. Hey pretties, welcome to today's episode. And today I want to talk to you about some very interesting and important business reflection. So, I love a concept and I really enjoy the idea of failure being a massive positive for business. And I failed more times than most people expect I would ever admit when it comes to business and many other things in life. And actually, they have been brutal occasionally, if I'm going to be completely honest, but often really rewarding in the end. There's always a golden nugget in the darkness somewhere. Now, one of the things I didn't recognize about failure when I used to be a little bit more sensitive, obviously, my ADHD also goes into this because I have rejection sensitive dysmorphia, which, by the way, loads of fun. But also, I used to think that failure meant something about my identity. And ego is a bridge between those two thoughts and feelings. Your ego can sometimes trick you into believing that being a failure will change who you are or make you less of a good person or make you less worthy or any of those things. And the truth be told, that the human experience is never without failure. There is always some things that we get wrong. And we're not meant to be perfect. We're meant to be here. We're meant to be being. We're meant to be enjoying and learning and, having the experience. But we're not meant to be perfect, and nobody is perfect. However, how you deal with failure, how you consider failure, how you grow from it, what you do with it will determine how far into that journey you can go. And I truly believe that there are lots of people, sadly, that walk around looking at failure with such a fear and such a perspective of it that they dodge risk to the degree where they don't actually have experiences that are available out there. And on the other side of failure can be some absolutely amazing experiences. So at this time of year, you will likely be slowly getting back into work mode. You might be thinking about all of the things that you're doing. You might be trying to come up with different ways to build your income this year. You might be thinking about strategy. You might have booked yourself on VIP days. You might have done a vision board. You might be doing goals. You might be doing 90 days, goal setting practices, journaling, all of that really great stuff. And I love pretty much all of that stuff. However, there's one thing that quite often when I run VIP days or I have my one to ones with my clients in January, that I notice that other people don't do very regularly. And I would love to explain this to you and invite you lovingly to consider this for yourself because I think it's so valuable. And that is having a failure review. And nine times out of 10, when you listen to me, I'm asking you to look at the perspective of positivity. And I want you to know that this is framed in that same loving, warm light, that I'm not asking you to make a list of reasons why you suck. I want you to make a conscious awareness for yourself the times within 2023 that you failed or that you did things that were not ideal or areas that you could improve, holes to plug up. What can we do differently? And the reason why I think there's so much power in this is because you can repeat mistakes and failures over and over and over again until you learn the lesson, and that can keep you stuck. And You might spend hours and hours creating an amazing vision board, and I love doing that. And you might spend days and days with amazing coaches, mentors, friends, business strategists, you name it, building out your plan for the year. And again, incredibly valuable. But if you aren't aware of the things that tripped you up last year or the year before or the year before that, how can you be truly sure that you won't fall down the same rabbit hole in 2024? Sometimes self awareness really is everything, and not being scared of the fear, but actually letting the fear inform you in an educated way to fully embrace the opportunities that will lay before you can actually be a really beautiful thing. So, if you're able to, grab a pad and pen. If you're not able to, you can always come back and rewind and listen to this part again. But I want you to answer some questions. So, which month in 2023 did you have a disappointing or the most disappointing financial situation in terms of your business income? And once you have the answer to that, and you might have to go looking for that if you're not consciously aware of it, I want you to look at what you did up to 3 months, possibly 6 months before that month. I want you to look for things that will have derailed you. I want you to look for distractions. I want you to look for things that you couldn't control, like illnesses, bereavement, changes in personal circumstance. I want you to look at things that happened in the world to everybody, the collective experience. And I want you to look at what you did personally in your business, decisions that you made, where you spent your time, actions that you chose. Make a little list. It's fabulous to look at. Okay. Then I would love for you to consider a time in 2023 where you recognized that you perhaps didn't behave at your absolute highest self. That might be losing your temper. It might be assuming, it might be blaming, it might be the way that you spoke to somebody, it might be how you reacted to something, it might be the way that you behaved in any possible way that gives you that sense of, oh, that's not really my style. That's not the person who I want to be. I'd like to remove more of that than keep it, because none of us are perfect and we all have those moments. Then I want you to think of the circumstances of those moments. What was it that happened that had you feeling that way? Like environmentally, what was going on? Were you incredibly stressed? Were you hungry? Were you tired? Were you dealing with a certain part of your cycle? Or have you recognized that perhaps your hormones are imbalanced, or there's some sort of menopause situation going on? Like what's happening around that feeling? Were you genuinely disappointed? Were you genuinely angry? Were you genuinely sad? What was it that made regulating those emotions difficult for you? One of the best things you can do at this point is be very hyper aware of what things that you've just written down or recognized in your mind were within your control and what things were not within your control. I would dare say that more is in your control than you may think. However, there are certain things that really genuinely are not in our control and we can do nothing about them. But there will be things that are, and those are the things that we focus on. So make a little list of that. And to finish on this very small exercise, because I'm not going to take you through the entire exercise that I do with my clients because we'd be here for 90 minutes. For one last thing, I want you to consider what your biggest failure of the year was. Now, that failure might pertain to somebody else. You might have decided, and remember that this one might not be factual. This one might be a feeling rather than a fact. Those are two very different things, by the way. And you might decide, I wasn't a good friend this year, or I wasn't a good daughter this year, or I wasn't a good mother this year, or I wasn't a good businesswoman this year, or I wasn't a good person this year, which I highly doubt if you're listening to this podcast. Highly doubt. It's impossible, actually. You might think, I didn't take care of my body enough, or I didn't focus on my needs, or I didn't focus on my relationship, or I didn't show my partner that I love them the way that I do, or I didn't take care of money the way I should have done, or I didn't allow myself the freedom to take as many risks as I should have done. Whatever. Only you can recognize that in yourself. And once you've figured out what that one is, I want you to make a commitment to that thing in 2024. I want you to stick it on a post-it note up on your wall, or make a pretty poster on Canva that you print out and stick up somewhere. Stick it on your fridge, pop it as your phone background, make it your desktop background, whatever works, pretties. Stick it there as a commitment. Quite often, 2024, 2025, 2026, you get into the new year and it's like, boom, I have a word for the year. This is kind of like that, but I don't want it to just be a word. I want it to be an action. I want you to actually do something rather than theorize around it. Commit. Whatever you think was your biggest failure, although that may not be truthful, because again, it's a feeling, not fact, there's still power for you internally in your emotional and mental well-being in recognizing what that is and flipping that switch. If you commit to doing more in that area, whatever the area is, that doesn't make you feel like a failure, that doesn't create shame, guilt, or worry, you're going to feel more powerful in 2024. You're instantly creating an internal magic, and it's powerful. And you deserve to feel it, and you deserve to be empowered by it, and you deserve the results that will come from it if you commit to that thing and change it. Okay? And you don't have to change it overnight. Please don't think that you have to go and fix it. That's not the point here. I'm asking you to live with it. I'm asking you to keep it consciously with you. I'm asking you to do small things every day that work towards the commitment of the opposite feeling to the one that you've recognized as 2023's biggest failure. And then let's have this discussion again next year and plug another hole and build another step and take another hike to another top of a mountain, because this is how we grow. If you're loving our Pretty podcast, come on over to Social Pretties, our online safe house and sisterhood community. It's a safe space where female entrepreneurs connect and thrive in a warm, welcoming fold of pretty amazing women. You'll find an easy redirect in the description, and I can't wait to see you in there. And depending on where you're listening right now, we would love it if you would click subscribe or follow so that you can be the first to know when our new podcasts come out.